Hello, namaste everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing great. Today we are going to talk about the exalted planets, which also are retrograde. So I recently did a post where I asked you people to give me your topics which you guys have not found much information on and want me to make a video on. So this was the question that I received. Well, actually, it was about the debilitated planets, but also being retrograde. Then I thought that why not I make something opposite as well, which is about exalted planet also being retrograde. So let's talk about this today. But before that, if you guys are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe it and hit the bell icon so that you get regular updates. Also, if you would like to have your personal readings from me, you can check out the link in the description box, www.anmollastrology.com. Under the readings and unique reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. Also, you can sign up for the courses under the courses section if you wish to learn astrology through me. Okay, so let's get started. Today, we'll be talking about how a planet which is exalted and also retrograde is going to behave for you. First of all, let me, in a very short line description, let me tell you this particular placement is an important placement to have. I have been telling this ever since I've started making videos that it's not necessary always the exalted planet is going to do extremely well for you. And it is always not necessary that a debilitated planet is going to do extremely bad for you. When you get an exalted planet retrograde, it's rather a major responsibility that you are born with over your shoulders. You then have to achieve that exaltation. So as to understand this topic, let's first know about what is an exalted planet and what does retrogression means. In simple words, exalted, whenever a planet goes into exalted sign or exaltation, that simply means that this planet is now in a zodiac sign where it feels that it is at strength. It is able to work to its maximum potential. It has its strength. It has all the comforts in the surroundings it can work with. Okay, so a planet feels powerful or is able to express completely in this particular zodiac sign. That is what exalted means. And when a planet goes retrograde, that means it starts moving backward. As a result, scientifically, it comes way closer to the Earth. It is more impactful. It makes you revisit the past or past actions. It wants you to introspect, go within, go inwards. It wants you to go through that repetitive patterns of your life, and it has certain amount of karma that it has brought forward in this life for you. So when a planet becomes retrograde, it goes within, it goes more closer. You will feel the impact of this planet way more than any other direct planets. So when this exalted planet goes retrograde, this is not a blessing, but this is a sacred responsibility that you're born with. So as to achieve this blessing, you will have to work hard. So as to achieve this blessing, you'll have to do something. You'll have to prove your worthiness. Like, for example, a perfect example would be Lord Rama. So as to take up his throne, he had to first face the exile. He had to, prove his self-worth and come back, regain the throne and authority in life. and he was respected throughout the process. Even when he was at his lowest, he was respected. That's what an exalted retrograde planet means. You have that strength, you have that power, but you need to prove your self-worth there. It's like a king who may even take a backfall in a battle so as to come back stronger, so as to strategize and come back even way stronger than what it would have done in that present scenario when that king actually took that backfall. So retrogression wants you to have this exalted situation by having a stronger foundation first. That's what this retrogression wants you to have. With having a exalted planet but retrograde, you have to go through transformations. You attain your power, you attain your authority in respect of that planet only after going through transformation, after going through confusions, contradictions, and delays in regards of that particular planet. Like, for example, if you have an exalted Venus, but it is also retrograde, you have to experience psychological challenges through relationships. It's your time to go on a journey, on a spiritual journey through relationships, through going through all the confusion, chaoses. You rise into your spiritual world. You become devoted. You understand what the true meaning of devotion is. So certainly you attain your power once you go through that confusion, that transformation, and everything else. And there's something I've written. The soul has previously mastered this quality, but in this time, in this life, it has come to re-interact with those qualities, to re-earn those significant qualities of that planet, those significant gifts of that planet. Okay, so let's start with the planets so that we get a better understanding. So I've written it all while I was, planning to make this video. I just, go on writing so that I don't forget anything that I want to mention here. So let's go ahead with Jupiter first. So Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, the 4th house. And suppose it goes retrograde. Jupiter is all about wisdom. It's about your order as in your throne. 4th house, or the sign of Cancer, is said to be the Raj Gaddi. It's said to be the throne of life. So when you have a Jupiter exalted, it makes you fortunate enough to have a life where you are like, you think that I'm God's child. I'm saved by some higher power. I'm saved, I'm secured, I'm protected by someone. So when you have Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Cancer, it wants you to prove your worthiness with your authority, with your Raj Gaddi, with your throne. The example of Lord Rama, which I mentioned, exactly, it bang on matches this particular scenario, having a Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Cancer. At some point in your life, you'll have to prove your worthiness. You may be born with a silver spoon. You may be born in a household full of royalties, riches, money, luxury. But you still at some point in your life will have to prove your self-worth to have all of it. Or you'll have to go through that transformation of reaching that lower ground and then going back up in your life. Jupiter in the sign of Cancer is also known as a spiritual guru. So when Jupiter comes retrograde in the sign of Cancer, you need to understand the traumatic patterns or generational traumas. And then you have to take an unconventional approach towards those traumas and heal them, help other people heal them. It's like a teacher or a counselor who has a very unconventional approach towards traditions, towards understanding people's psychology and how do you deal with it. It's like an outcast advisor, outcast counselor that you get to. Of course, this makes a person highly spiritual, but not in a way which is acceptable by the society, but in a true sense of spirituality. They can be excellent researchers, because now what is happening, because of the retrogression, this Jupiter is going way deeper into those waters of Cancer, into that depth of Cancer, into that depth of emotional stability, emotions. You find your stability, you find your throne, you find your command over your emotions through intense and transformative events in your life, through intense sacrifices in your life. This person is not a mother, it's rather a teacher in the form of mother, who's going to teach you with harsh reality, with a stick in its hand. Okay, so let me just go with the points I have written. So Cancer is all about Rajgaddi, authority in life and foundation. Jupiter here expands your respect, your appreciation, your dependability, strong foundation and authority. Having this retrograde means you'd require to earn and establish your strong foundation for yourself. You will require to regain your throne and your credibility in life. The second point is it becomes deeply spiritual and emotionally wise, but may question the traditional system of beliefs and society. The person is often a teacher or a counselor, but non-conventional, and often analyze deep emotional setbacks and transformations. Now, the karmic theme of this is why you have a retrograde Jupiter, and that too exalted one, because you might have misused your knowledge, your wisdom in the past life. Now, in this life, you have come here to provide and to rediscover your divine wisdom, and through emotional nourishment and emotional attachments. You are here to guide others with that emotional intensity and emotional deep understanding. That is your life lesson in this lifetime. Okay, so this person can be rich, this person can have fortune of a lifetime, but in their life, definitely at least once they would come across that time where they have to deal with this side of their life. Will they have to reprove themselves? And of course, whenever a person has retrograde Jupiter, they have to go through repetitive karmic patterns of lessons, of learning, of wisdom. You keep on, see, Jupiter is an optimistic energy. It's a highly spirited energy. I remember doing a consultation today of someone with Jupiter as retrograde, but also being their Dharakarka. I told them that your karma with relationships and with love is to understand your freeness, your free-spiritedness, your overly optimistic nature in love. Jupiter here is trying to give you that wisdom that you do not have to let open your boundaries for everyone in relationship. You rather need to learn about the amount of boundaries and restrictions you need to have in your love encounters in your relationships. That's why you have a retrograde Jupiter as your Dharakarka. So that's how this energy plays out. So similar to this, you will get challenged over your optimism, over your free spiritedness. Okay, so next we have Venus. I think most of the people would be wanting to learn this. Venus exalted in the sign of Pisces and retrograde. When Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, that means you dream of a lifetime love. You are hopeless romantic. When you are in love, your whole of your tan, man, dhan, everything just surrounds around that person. You feel as if you know the supreme power and you're devoted towards that supreme power of love and of spirituality. When this Venus interacts with the retrogression in its exaltation stage, this makes you deal with challenges, psychological challenges, psychological confusions, chaoses, and contradictions, delays in love and relationships. You get to understand your spiritual journey and your spiritual self, or the psychology of others, through your experiences early in life, at least till 25, 26. This retrogression comes in to make you dive deeper into the 12th house matters with love. This makes you doubt the existence of love, and as a result, it takes you to the higher divine, which is spirituality, understanding what is beyond this realm. It makes you dive into astrology, into occult sciences as well, into healing. These people are excellent healers. They understand on a very practical level. If I say, they understand what the other people psychology is, what the whenever they get into a relationship, what would the other person think. They're highly intuitive. But when you have Venus exalted and also retrograde, you may have karmas related to addictions. You will experience karma either related to addictions with substances or addiction with your dependency on love. When you receive a heartbreak, all of your life shatters in front of you, and this is basically, this heartbreak comes in for you to understand that your devotion has to have a purposeful meaning. It is not just dependent on sex. It is not dependent on bed pleasures. It is dependent on higher devotion. It is dependent on a devotion which is not physical, which is not materialistic, which is sacred, which is spiritual. So a person has to rise above the fantasy, the dreamland here. You definitely are going to be at a point in your life where you have all the luxuries available for yourself, but you still choose to be a monk. But you still choose to just let it all go and connect to your divine, connect to your spiritual self. The karma lesson, the karmic lesson for you is to let go, is to deal with your abandonment issues, to deal with your dependence upon the relationships, upon the addictions, the substances, or the women, the sex, the men. Okay, so let's just talk about the points. Love becomes deep, dreamy, and romantic experience for you. But you will experience intense transformations, challenges, attachment issues, abandonment issues, and also issues related to addictions. This makes one deal with addictiveness and dependability in love and relationships. That's what we were talking about. A strong urge to be sacrificial and learn lessons of self-love. So, retrograde Venus in Pisces makes you deal with sacrifice in love. This would even make you deal with loss of your partner, loss of love in your life. Just a second. I think this is, it's all right now. Yeah. And that loss of love, that loss of your partner makes you go into that confusion, makes you go into finding answers to understand what's the spiritual side, what's that other side of life, what is afterlife. I've seen people, trying to analyze what afterlife is about. And this is something I can resonate with in retrograde Venus, exalted. Right? And their journey, all of this basically leads them towards self-love. Not self-love where they are just providing themselves all the luxury, they are just pampering themselves with all that materialistic side. No, but to love yourself by being spiritually aligned and by being aligned with your soul. That's what the lesson is about. A strong, okay, so we did talk about this. Your karma is to understand spiritual self and devotion through love and relationships. The karmic theme is that in your past life, you must have betrayed someone. You must have had some unfulfilled desires out of love. Maybe you loved someone and you never got that love. You know, in the some people die in their lives before fulfilling their love stories. Like we had the story of Heer Ranjha and any others, love romantic stories we can recall of. These are those stories. So they come here, the soul takes the rebirth so as to fulfill their desires and to be devoted this time, because they have been betrayed. They have either been betrayed by the society, they either have been betrayed by their loved one, or they themselves have betrayed in love. That's why they have unfulfilled desires in love and relationships. Now they have to deal with it in this life. So your lesson is to love, is to learn that this betrayal would not come in if you are true to yourself, if you're true to love yourself. So this journey is about self-love first, love to that divine, and then anyone else. And of course, you need to stay devoted. You need to be aligned with your devotion, with your love. Okay? And of course, beyond the illusion. You need to get out of that illusion and dreamy land in your life. Next, we have Mars. So if you have a Mars exalted in the sign of Capricorn, right? And it is retrograde, what would be your karma? First of all, you put a soldier in the war battle. You put a soldier or a planet full of energy. You put it out there in the society to work on its karma and its action. It feels all of its power to just react, to give commands, to organize, to bring in things into action, to bring in ideas into action. But what more it does? It makes you a Hitler. It makes you controlling. It makes you status oriented. It makes you highly conscious of your image in the public. So when you have a retrograde Mars, it wants you to find control of yourself, find control over your actions. So now you need not to be controlling and dominating towards the outside world. Rather, you need to find control within yourself. You need to find that control within. With you, if you want to have a good status out there in the society, you would first have to appreciate yourself. You have to be appreciative of self. You have to build up a status from within. This is what it talks about. It talks about that your life is not about just having a show off on the outside. It's rather from being strong, courageous, like a silent warrior from the inside. That's what your journey is about. Mars in the sign of Capricorn can make a person extremely dominating and, of course, harsh. With Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Cancer, Mars retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Libra. These are the harshest placements. Harshest placements as in these people have extremely rigid mindset and they follow that rigidity. These are like those orthodox parents who are like, you have to get married in the caste system. You cannot go beyond that. With Mars being exalted and being retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, you become no less than a Hitler. That's when your karma comes in. You have to use your authority for the best of others, not for what you think is best for others. Right? So let's just talk about the points. They are disciplined, but the discipline must come from within. So definitely Mars exalted, they are disciplined. But when it goes retrograde, it says that first you will have to be disciplined from within, and then only you can expect others to follow that discipline for you. Next is establish status from the inside for it to reflect on the outside. A silent warrior. Retrograde Mars in the sign of Cancer and retrograde Mars in the sign of Capricorn are the silent warriors. In Cancer, they deal with the traumatic transformation with emotions. In Capricorn, they deal with the traumatic transformation, not traumatic, I would say, but the transformations within their actions and their image, their understanding of the society. A silent warrior with great inner strength, strategic power, but delayed victories. With a retrograde Mars in the sign of Capricorn, you can experience delay in your karma, delay in your recognition, delay in your victories. But when you do become victorious, you are the undefeated one. You are the one who no one can defeat. And also when Mars goes retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, especially when it goes into the Dhanishta Nakshatra, you have to deal with the technicalities of life. You become strong. You become like a warrior because of personal turmoils, because of loss, because there is something that has one after another has been in your life, such events that has made you cold, that has made you a courageous person because there was no other option for you. There was no other option for you rather than being strong and courageous in life, being the one to do all that hard work in life. And definitely you reach that higher status in life, materialistically, ambitiously. But the journey It's only you who knows about it, that how did you reach there? Okay? Let go of external control and establish internal control. The karmic theme, why you are born with this placement, is because you did misuse your authority. You misuse your ambitious powers so as to take benefit of someone else, or you misused your power and authority to take someone down so as to go to take yourself up. And this is the similar opportunities that you will get in this life. If you choose to do that again, you're going to be reincarnated again. But if you choose to go opposite to that, to just focus on self, on your career, your ambition, your goals, you'll be able to achieve the karmic goals that you're bound to have in this life. You will be able to achieve to have success of lifetime. Your lesson is to master, this again is blurring down. Your lesson is to master patience, leadership through internal control. Okay. And I always feel that people, just let me check my mic. I always feel that people with a retrograde Mars in the sign of Capricorn are meant to do justice to the society. Now, you always need to see the combinations. You need to see the conjunction. You need to see the planet influencing this particular placement. Because if ill planets or malefics are affecting this particular placement, you can become a Hitler, or you can even become a Mahatma Gandhi. Actually, that's a debatable topic of Mahatma Gandhi, but definitely you can become someone like, I again forgot the name. You must have seen Kesari, and there was, let me just quickly find out who was in Kesari, who just fought for what is right. Kesari chapter 2, and it was based on whom? Which lawyer? Yeah. So it was on Sankaran Nair. Yeah, that was the name which was coming into my mind. So Sankaran? It is Sankaran, right? Sankaran Nair. So you can either become a Sankaran Nair, or you can become that why am I forgetting names? Journal Dyer. I don't see that. I'm just watching Sankaran Nair. Oh, it's blurred. See? I didn't watch General Dyer. I just remembered that. So either you can become that. Both of them were fighting for people. One had the agenda, which was negative. One had the positive agenda, was fighting for something good. So that's what this can do. Next, we have the planet Mercury. Mercury is the planet of your intellect. It is exalted in the sign of Virgo, and if it goes retrograde. So first of all, Mercury feels comfortable in the sign of Virgo because then it gets the opportunity to analyze. It gets the opportunity to have everything in a perfect order, in perfection, to analyze, to be analytical, to be intellectual, right? So Mercury does well in the sign of Virgo because it loves to be perfected. It loves to have perfection there. It loves to work with numbers, work with details, work with what should be there, what would work with budgets, organized things, organizations. So when this Mercury is exalted, but it is retrograde, it makes you no less than an overthinker, over analyzer. With this, I can think of the professions where a person has to finalize an information by rechecking it all over again. Like, for example, a chartered accountant, they all, for the whole year, they go into those books, they do that bookkeeping, but at the end, they have to check all the information again and come out with a conclusion. That could be for a statistic, the data analyst or something to do with statistics, where they have to give the final verdict by rechecking the information or rechecking the numbers altogether, right? So these people are highly intellectual. These are the individuals who will check on do or keep on doing things repetitively. Like, for example, my grandfather had a habit. He actually has an exalted Mercury retrograde, I think, in his first house, conjunct moon. Yeah. And what happens is that whenever he comes, he lives abroad. So whenever he comes to the homeland, he will take stuff out of his luggage, then he'll set it again and pack it all again. Then the next day, he will take all the luggage out. And when I'm saying all the luggage out, all the luggage out, not even a single piece has to be inside. All the luggage out, then set it again and put it back again. The third day, all the luggage out, all the luggage back again. That's what he does. And that's what I'm trying to say with an exalted Mercury, which is retrograde. They try to reassure everything, reassure every minute detail. That's why they do very well in subjects of research, in subjects where you have to be very sure of the statistics, very sure of the numbers, very sure of the decisions. So judges can be a part of it, right? So they are super sharp, their intellect, but may overthink, overanalyze, and they would doubt everyone. They would doubt others. They would doubt themselves also. They become very highly self-critical and highly critical of the others. So it's very hard to live with a person who has exalted Mercury, and that to retrograde. They will just keep on doubting. They would keep on asking you questions. Once I had a client who had exalted Mercury, but I did not see that it was retrograde. To be honest, I just give it a glance and I knew that they had exalted Mercury because I saw that how defined their questions were, like part 1, part 2, part 3, that kind of questions I had in my email. And then I thought this person would have a prominent Mercury. And then I saw it was an exalted one. But I thought to myself that, okay, it is exalted, but why so much of information? Why so much of verifying things all over and over again and giving that kind of organization? Then I saw that it was retrograde. So that's how they feel that swearosity to have everything in an organized and proper manner. That's why they are detail oriented. They work well with details. They're super intelligent. They're super intellectual. Okay. Excellent for researchers, writers, healers, but decision may come after deep reanalysis. So that's why where a decision, suppose a work where your decision has a lot of weightage and is very important, you must have this placement so as to have a firm decision, have a very balanced and analytical decision. And they're always non-partial. They're never partial in their life. They're always balanced. They take the sides of who is correct, who is right, because they have their karma with honesty. So there's one last point, and then I'll come to that. To that what is their karmic theme. So professions where they have to do final analysis, rechecking information and confirming the information, etc. So their karmic theme is, because they have been into miscommunication, they have been lying in their past, and they have been into manipulations in their past. That is why the lesson, or the karmic lesson of this life, is to be honest, to be brutally honest, clear, to have clarity in mind and in speech as well, right? And to provide their honesty, their clarity, their service through knowledge, through information, through numbers, through technicalities, through skills. Okay? Now, lastly, now my throat is like, it has given upon. So now the last one is Saturn. Earth. So Saturn, exalted in the sign of Libra and retrograde. This is one of the heaviest placements a person would have. This is a placement of a person who might be born in all the luxuries, in all the comforts of life, but still has to struggle in life. This is a placement that makes you work really, really hard. And I'm getting two examples in my mind right now. And one of them is family. One of them was a client of mine. Both of them had exalted Saturn. One of them had this exalted Saturn in the ascendant. Another one had exalted Saturn in the seventh house. Both of them were retrograde, and both of them are females. They got married really early in their life. Like when I'm talking about early, they got married in 21, 22 kind of ages. They didn't have successful marriage because, of course, with Saturn in the first seventh axis, you must wait to get the right partner, but they were forced into the arranged setup. They got married and they are divorced now. So the struggle they have been facing is with their own family. By after being divorced, they're not getting done with that divorce since so many years. And at the same time, they have to live within the family where they have a lot of other peoples also, like their sister-in-laws are there, and they're not gelling in well with them. They're not having a good environment because they are, they have come back to the home. So I'm just giving an example that although they were born in the very rich societies, very rich families, but they had to struggle. Still, they had to struggle. But trust me, this is a placement of a man or a woman who understands the reality of life through hardships and struggles, even if they are born in maybe the house of PM Modi, in maybe the house of a celebrity. They have to struggle. They have to work hard. They have to get on their feet by themselves. Either it's their household, or it's their career, or it's anything else. The Saturn is the natural karma of natural karka of your career. Having it exalted means you'll have to work really hard towards your career. Having it retrograde and exalted makes you intensely into your career. Intensely fair. You have to be fair. You have to be neutral. You have to balance all the sides of your life. So, balance, fair, and karmically mature. That's what this makes you. Retrograde makes it highly introspective and harsh because of the realities that have struck you over and over again in your life. You have become a very practical and harsh individual, and a cold one too. So if you see a chart of a person with retrograde Saturn in the sign of Libra, do not think that they are born this way. They might come out as very cold to you, very harsh to you, but trust me, they have gone through all the things in their life which has basically landed them towards it. But this is a highly dependable person. Saturn, why it is exalted in the 7th house in Libra? Because that is the place where it has the opportunities to negotiate. What is a relationship about? A relationship is about coming half the way with your partner, understanding the details of a contractual relationship, fulfilling the responsibilities, fulfilling the contract. But sometimes when it becomes retrograde, with the Saturn in the sign of Libra becomes retrograde, it means that for you, relationships are all about what contract is, what responsibility is. So it's all about you working hard towards the responsible and the reality or the balancing side of relationships. For you, relationships is all about the contract that you have signed, and now you'll have to accomplish it. You'll have to adjust within it because you cannot get out of it easily. And when it comes to your career, you have to be balanced. You have to be fair. Right? So next point, heavy responsibilities, repeating karmic patterns and duties, delays in your life, but profound rewards. Trust me, by the time you are going to be in your late 40s, you will get all the appreciation of your efforts and hard work. Now, I know most of your people would say that what's the benefit? Oh, most of my life is gone. Then what would I do with this, this later success? But trust me on this. I think my videos reach the young generation the most. So let me give a message to you people. Trust me, by the time you will go into your old age or you will go into your midlife, you would understand how important it is to have a good old age, because not many are fortunate enough to have one. Sometimes, because of the mistakes and because of the casuality that we have in our attitude in the early years of our life, makes us pay in the old age. I've seen people enjoying having best of their lives in their 20s, in their 30s, but struggling for one single penny in their 40s, in their 50s. Now, what would you want to choose? Enjoyment in your 20s, 30s, or having a good, relaxing life in your 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, maybe 70s, maybe 80s? My great grandmother was 99 when she died. 99 or 96, something like that. It was either 99 or 96. So I think as of what I am in my life, I have understood this thing that present is not everything. I'm a strong believer that we must live in the present and enjoy the present, but also should have a little bit consideration towards the future. I'm a very futuristic person. Trust me. If you know me personally, you would know I'm such a futuristic person that even my folks, my in-laws, get surprised to know my thoughts about what I have decided for my future, for my daughter's future at this stage when she's only 2. She's not even 2. And I've decided and I've invested the money already for her education and everything. So I think that's very important, and that's where these people are successful. They definitely go through hardships. They struggle in the beginning. They make themselves struggle in the beginning so that they can have a good future. They can have a good old age. You see those American men, American or any other, even the Indian men who are in their 50s, in their 60s, they are thriving in their career. They are having 2 to 3 different business. They are business tycoons. Even if they are in corporates, they are at a very good, you just walk into the room, they let them just walk into the room and you will feel their charm in their 50s, their 60s. That's what this placement does. That's what a retrograde Saturn in a healthy placement would do, or even it would do with the debilitation. Okay, so next, the karmic theme of this Saturn is that you have abused your authority, or you have done injustice to someone, you have misused government or something related to government in your past life. That now you are here to provide justice by your actions, by your hard work to the society, to the people, to go for ethical means of delivery or of justice. So many judges, many lawyers, many government officials can have this placement. And your lesson is to serve others through justice, ethics, and fairness. Okay, so guys, this was about the exalted planets being retrograde. I hope this helps and gives you good insights into this information, right? So yeah, we'll see you in the next video with some other topic that you, and if right now you have not given me any topic under that post, you can go visit my channel. You can go into the post section. I think it would have been 5 to 6 days that I posted that post. You can still comment below because I am on a mission to make a video on each and every comment. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Take care.